As much as I was hoping this was the last clip of gameplay footage, apparently I need to put gameplay in the next clip as well. We're still pretty close to the ending, just not as close as I would have liked. I'm going to assume the point we need to get to in order to reach the ship that will open the portal is near the seed. Mostly because it's more likely there's some unexplored ground there than anywhere else on that annoyingly throwaway planet. Though maybe explore isn't the right word to use, considering my opinion of the overall level design in this game. Well, this planet doesn't look any different. No Federation ships floating over it at the moment. Dear God, the effects of that battle are so muted that it may as well didn't happen at all. Are we at least going to see some Federation garrison troops down here, like back on Norian? Well, there's two guys. I suppose that's something. Okay, we have an annoying amount of traveling to do in order to get where we need to be. But it looks like another landing site is close to that point, so may as well fly there. Kinda hard for me to complain about the padding where we need to go into the pirate ship overhead to open the wormhole that we gained the code to open when this was a much faster process than the key hunts in either of the previous games. Still, it's padding, but at least it's not to an obscene degree. Though I suppose I probably should have fast-forwarded through all the flying around at the start of the clip. That would have helped shaved off some of the time here. Ah well, bit too late for me to do anything about that now. And we've got some more Federation soldiers here. Guess my expectations after the battle were a bit too low.
We've got this area covered. You better get going. Most of the pirates have retreated underground, but you'll still need to stay on guard through these sections.
I'm sure the numbers we'll run into will be about the same as they were before the invasion, but again, this was more than I was expecting as an effect after the questionably done battle. I'll take what I can get. Okay, need to go left. After that, well, the 3D map is just not especially easy for me to read, and I doubt it ever will be. Here's hoping I was right that it's the second and not the third floor. Not that it would be anything more than an embarrassment, I'd just prefer to have a smooth ride from here to the credits. A smooth ride with as few door delays as possible. And again, we've got some doors that open more slowly than they were probably meant to. Seriously, why is it that some doors take less than a second to open and others take several more seconds? There's just no way to tell. Well, since we're here, we may as well destroy this bit of phazon crap. Again, doesn't seem as epic as the game designers probably intended, though that's been my opinion of the game as a whole. Still, despite my near-constant bitching, this is still a pretty damn good game. I can certainly imagine several ways it could be better, and I'm not shy about mentioning things that bug me about it, both with the things that I feel like they were done for the sake of motion control gimmicks and the iffy storytelling and all that. And while I do give the impression that I absolutely hate the game, that is not the case. If it was, then I wouldn't have bothered starting to LP it in the first place, much less have played it from beginning to end, and then went through my probably all too long process of working on the commentary for it clip by clip. I may not replay this game as frequently as I do the first Metroid Prime, but it's still something I occasionally return to. Not all games have that distinction. Okay, so we've got what seems to be a prison cell of some kind in the middle of the room. Ah, so not a cell, but another barrier between us and the way forward. A barrier that probably isn't gonna last much longer. And we're just sucking the energy out of this thing. Come to think of it, why didn't Metroid Dread have us do more blatant absorption stuff? I know it was a critical thing, especially at the tail end, but... well, maybe that's just something they're thinking about for the next game in the timeline. Samus doing more explicit energy-draining stuff, now that she is very explicitly part Metroid, and has unlocked that part of herself. Right. Apparently there's not much to the Leviathan we just got onto. No fighting to do whatsoever, just interact with the terminal and you're done. Get back to your ship and go to the Phazon homeworld for the final sequence. Okay, no motion control idiocy here, I can certainly appreciate that.
Samus, we have gained control of the Leviathan. Now we'll
You
be
guys
able to
could have
open a
easily
wormhole
done this
and warp
yourselves
the
if it
phase.
wasn't for that annoying Phazon creature thing blocking a door.
Once
And
you
it's not like I'm
rendezvous with the
expecting
fleet,
much from
we'll
you
head
guys when we
straight
get
into
to the
the
final
belly of the
location of the
beast.
game. They're gonna
I
be
look forward to fighting
completely
alongside you
busy
again,
fighting
Samus.
against the pirates where we can't
Godspeed.
really see anything of note, and we're gonna be alone as we make the charge towards Dark Samus. Anyway, going to fast forward until we get to our ship. Oh, now what?
Once you join the fleet and the wormhole to phase,
Apparently, we interrupted her. And of course, she's going to call us again as we arrive at the other end of the train line. Okay, you can try again.
Samus. Once you join the fleet and the wormhole to phase is opened, there is no turning back. Please
There's
ensure
nothing
you
for
prepare
me to feel in any way tempted to turn back for. We are obscenely well equipped at this point. Hell, we're explicitly doing well enough that we're going to get the little special cutscene at the end of the game, for whatever that's worth. In the previous two Metroid Primes, the special ending involved us seeing Dark Samus, and this is our swan song as far as I know. And whatever plans they had for a sequel to this might have changed since it's been over 13 years since the release of Metroid Prime 3. Still, They kept some of the plans for Metroid Dread for an obscene amount of time, and Splatoon was first considered around the time they released Super Mario Sunshine. Say what you will about Nintendo's storytelling for the most part. When they feel they have a good idea, they will hold on to it for a damn long time. Speaking of storytelling, what's preventing the pirates from retaking control of the Leviathan? It'd be a little awkward if the pirates just teleported onto it for the sake of stalling things out a little more and messing with the hack job we just did. And we finally see the Federation fleet again, for whatever that's worth.
Sir, Samus's ship has joined the fleet. Thank you, Ensign.
Well, at least the Admiral knows that the most critical part of this assault is going to be Samus.
The wormhole is open. Order all ships to enter. Affirmative, Admiral. Message to all ships. Prepare for entry. Maintain battle formation timeless.
So you named the battle formation we're not really going to see after the planet that the Valhalla was last seen over before it was destroyed. Bit of an odd tidbit. Right, let's get this battle started. Getting some flashbacks to the final space battle in Mass Effect 3. Not executed as well on screen, but hey, that's better than I was expecting, and thankfully, the ending of this game isn't going to be anywhere near as rage or apathy-inducing as Mass Effect 3's. Apparently, Samus isn't going to bother sending any pot shots at any of the pirate ships on her way down. She's just going to casually enter the atmosphere and completely ignore the battle going on in orbit. More of those tentacle things growing out of the ground. If this planet turns out to be something similar to Unicron from Transformers, I want the Federation to give us a raise. Not that I have any idea what they're planning on paying us for all the crap we've had to do in this game anyway, or how much they paid us after any of our previous jobs. Guess being on the Phazon source is enough of a trigger for the infection in us to get worse. Hey, I've been venting for a good amount of the game. That's why it sounds like I've been near constantly bitching. There's no need to tell me to do it some more. So I suppose we're losing all the energy tanks we gained just to get this far for the moment. And we're going to be in a near constant hyper mode as we head towards the final battle. I wonder if we'll get our health bars back when we start the final boss fight, or if we're gonna keep this brand new semi-disorienting style. I suppose that's an interesting way to change things up and make things more tense for the finale. Excuse me for finding it odd that we have an entirely new health system as we go through the final sequence of the game. A sequence where it is completely impossible for us to save. If we try to go back to our ship, it will reject us because it just can't recognize Samus anymore. And there are no save points further ahead. The Aurora was not kidding when she said this was a point of no return. Just like I wasn't kidding when I said that there was not all that much left to bother with outside of the final sector of the game. Huh. That sort of thing was an early game enemy in the first Metroid Prime. It works a bit differently now, though. Okay, so grabbing health items lowers the amount of Phazon that's corrupting us at the moment. And using the grapple to expend energy does an even better job making us safer for a little while. Good to know that things aren't going to be all that different with the new health system out of nowhere. But again, it's just a bit disorienting, especially since there's little time to get used to it. Okay, so those tendrils can grab onto us. Right, Morph Ball is the way to go. And great, now I can't help wishing that the Phazon seeds we dealt with were more expanded, since they've apparently got some good ideas for how to make a Phazon environment interesting. Something to help them feel like something more than a quick little test of a recent upgrade followed by a long, obligatory boss fight. Granted, I didn't feel like entire planets in this game all that much thought put into them in comparison to the regions from the first Metroid Prime, but the seeds were so blatantly slapped on that it was impossible to hype myself up for entering them. Okay, not a lot of monsters actually dropping healing items out here for some reason. We've still got plenty of room on the bar, but the fact that we're on a bit of a timer makes that sort of thing harder to ignore. And great, looking at the almost coral-style Phazon plant thing has reminded me that this game doesn't have a designated underwater section, just like it doesn't have a lava section. Now, I'm not saying that a Metroid game absolutely needs those kinds of environments to be a good game. I've been having fun with this despite its issues. It's just that the lack of them is part of what's making it hard for my brain to fully commit to the idea that this is actually a Metroid game instead of something just inspired by the series. Okay, certainly appreciate that bit of healing. I'd rather not be attacked by that thing after it absorbs our energy. Though it's hard not to feel like an ass for killing it when its actions healed us. Right. Once again I drop into the bottomless pit, and once again the game barely penalizes me for it. Seriously, Prime 1 and the 2D games never gave us bottomless pits, so why did Prime 2 and 3 do so? I just do not see what they really bring to the table that's worth the jarring moment where we're teleported with just slight damage back to the previous platform we'd touched with solid footing. I don't really see the need to leave Morph Ball form here. Let's burst those bulbs and see what happens. Good God, how long has it been since we last saw Tangleweeds? I'm really getting the sense that a lot of the enemy design in the later part of this game was a rush job using sprites from the previous game just to fill out the bestiary. Anyway, down the hatch. And And we drop into a room that looks the same as the one we just left. Not a great way to give me the impression we're making progress as we keep moving forward, but again, we're getting close to the end of the game. Just one more clip after this and we're done with Metroid Prime 3. And we've got a third room with the same setup. Only this one gave us a nice drain of the built-up energy we've got at the moment. And another of those floating bastards shows up to help remove a little more tension. Well, that's certainly new. Shame I couldn't have scanned it before we killed it. It certainly seemed like an interesting creature. Unfortunately, it was so obvious to kill and the creature botched its first attempt to swallow us as we dropped. That was probably my chance to move away and scan it, but I was a bit too busy feeling relieved that the fourth chamber we dropped into was noticeably different from the previous three. Hundreds. So this place is a Metroid factory. Shouldn't that be more horrifying considering how Metroids are treated in absolutely every other game in the franchise? They're just going to infinitely spawn here until we move on, and they're gonna make getting to the next room a bit more of a pain in the ass. Now, credit where it's due, I like the fact that I feel pressured out here. I should have felt this pressured earlier in the game, but hey, it makes sense for the ending sequence to start pushing things to the limit. If the ending sequence isn't the toughest section of the game, then someone may have screwed up somewhere. Well, that door was certainly more memorable than any of the others so far. And we've got hoppers coming down to slow us down just a little bit more. So once we kill all the hoppers, we can move on. And these things are in hyper mode, which really lost most of its mystique when we got permanently locked into it for this section of the game. It probably doesn't help that Metroid Dread did a much better job of pulling off something detrimental, giving us a power upgrade at the end of the story. And I played that game before this, when this game was released quite a few years before Dread.